Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA satellite channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
President Al-Alimi calls for national unity against Iranian-backed Houthi threat.
Government expands partnerships for humanitarian relief and sustainable development.
And Information Minister condemns abuse of women at checkpoints in Houthi-controlled areas.
Welcome back. President of the Presidential Leadership Council, Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, called for stronger national unity to confront the Iranian-backed Houthi project, urging political parties to take a leading role in defending the state, strengthening public awareness, and reinforcing the Republican front. Speaking during a meeting with the leaders of the National Coalition of Political Parties headed by Shura Council Speaker Dr. Ahmed Obaid bin Daghr, President Al-Alimi said political parties are a cornerstone of the state and play a vital role in shaping public opinion alongside the armed forces. The President praised participations on recent Houthi escalations, including Iran's violation of Yemen's sovereignty through the arrival of an Iranian Revolutionary Guard aircraft at Houthi-held Sana'a airport, carrying military experts and equipment.
He said the latest developments, combined with attacks on maritime navigation, military escalation, assassinations, and ongoing violations, demonstrate that the Houthi terrorist militia has never been a genuine partner for peace, but remains a direct threat to Yemen and regional stability. President Al-Alimi stressed that the government has successfully conveyed the international community that the crisis in Yemen is not merely an internal conflict, but a direct consequence of continued Iranian interference in Yemen and the wider region. Reaffirming that peace remains the state's strategic choice, the president said Yemen would not compromise its sovereignty, national dignity, or the future of its people, warning that the government would continue taking all necessary measures to restore state institutions if the Houthi militia persists in military escalation.
On the international front, Yemen continues to strengthen diplomatic engagement with global policymakers and strategic partners. Member of the Presidential Leadership Council, Abdullah Al-Alimi, participated in the opening of the London 2026 conference hosted by the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Chatham House, alongside senior political, diplomatic, and business leaders from around the world. The conference discussed major geopolitical and economic shifts, international security, global trade, artificial intelligence, energy security, climate change, and the future of international institutions. On the sidelines of the conference, Dr. Al-Alimi held meetings with political and diplomatic leaders to discuss the latest developments in Yemen and the region, while emphasizing the importance of continued international support for Yemen's security, stability, and economic recovery. Dr. Al-Alimi is also scheduled to meet senior British officials, parliament members, and leading policy experts during his visit to London as part of efforts to mobilize international backing for Yemen's constitutional institutions.
In Aden, Prime Minister Shaya Zindani called for stronger international action to protect Yemen's children during talks with Chief Executive Officer of Save the Children International, Inger Ashing, and Regional Director Ahmed Al-Hindawi. Dr. Zindani affirmed the government's commitment to strengthen partnerships with international organizations, particularly in child protection, education, healthcare, and food security. He stressed that children remain among the groups most affected by the war launched by the Houthi terrorist militia, citing violations including child military recruitment and the denial of education. He also called on the international community to intensify efforts to protect children, hold perpetrators accountable, and support programs that provide Yemeni children with a safer future. For her part, Ashing reaffirmed Save the Children's commitment to expanding its work in Yemen and praised the government's cooperation in facilitating the organization's humanitarian activities.
Also in Aden, the Ministry of Planning and International Cooperation reaffirmed its commitment to expanding partnerships that support Yemen's most vulnerable communities. During talks in Aden with Save the Children's delegation, Minister Afrah Hazuba reviewed the challenges facing children in education, healthcare, nutrition and protection, as well as future programs supporting humanitarian response, early recovery and sustainable development. Dr. Azuba praised the organization's long-standing partnership with the Yemeni government and its contribution to improving the lives of children across the country. She emphasized the importance of gradually shifting from humanitarian relief to early recovery and sustainable development while ensuring that future interventions align with the government's national development priorities.
Meanwhile, the government is working with international partners to strengthen education and secure long-term support for the country's schools. Minister of Education Dr. Adel Al-Abbadi discussed expanding cooperation with UNICEF to strengthen the education sector and advance sustainable learning programs. Meeting in Aden with UNICEF's Chief of Education Noor Shireen and educational specialist Jawad Ahmed, the minister reviewed preparations for a donor meeting in Amman that will bring together the Minister of Education, the World Bank, and international partners to mobilize support for education in Yemen. Dr. Al-Abbadi said the ministry is working closely with its partners to improve access to education and enhance learning opportunities for students across the country.
Minister of State and Aden Governor Abdulrahman Sheikh met with UNOPS Program Advisor Khaldun Salem to advance priority development projects in Aden. The two sides reviewed the progress of ongoing projects and discussed Aden's most pressing development needs, particularly in infrastructure and essential public services. Governor Sheikh emphasized the importance of broadening partnership with UNOPS to support the city's development priorities, praising the program's contribution to implementing key projects across multiple sectors. For his part, Salem reaffirmed UNOPS' commitment to continuing support for priority projects in Aden and working closely with the local authority to improve services and promote sustainable development.
Minister of Water and Environment Tawfiq Al-Sharjabi discussed a climate-resilient water and sanitation project for ties with Solidarities International. Meeting in Aden with Country Director Damaris Vent, the minister reviewed the project's objectives, including improving water production and supply, upgrading infrastructure, and strengthening the resilience of urban water and sanitation systems to climate change. The discussions also covered institutional capacity building for ties, local water and sanitation cooperation, and mechanisms to ensure the project aligns with the government's national water strategy and sector priorities. Minister Al-Sharjabi stressed the importance of directing investments toward projects that maximize long-term impact and make effective use of technical studies and national data.
Minister of State for Women's Affairs Ahd Jassous signed a partnership agreement with PASS Foundation for Sustainable Communities to strengthen women's participation in peace building, sustainable development, and decision making. The Memorandum of Understanding aims to expand cooperation through joint programs focused on capacity building, knowledge sharing, and the promotion of women's leadership at all levels. Dr. Jassous stressed the importance of a closer coordination among women's institutions and leaders to advance national efforts that empower women and strengthen their role in peace and development. During the meeting, PASS Chairwoman Bahia Al-Saqaf presented progress on a 3-year Netherlands-funded project to enhance women's participation in Track 2 peace initiatives across 4 Yemeni governorates through specialized training and engagement with decision makers.
Minister of Information Muammar Al-Iryani condemned the systematic abuses against women in areas under the control of the Houthi militia, following testimony of abuse by Yemeni activist Layla Al-Maqtari. Al-Maqtari was arbitrarily detained, having her documents confiscated, and allegedly being subjected to harassment by Houthi personnel at a checkpoint. In a statement, Minister Al-Iryani said the testimony reflects a broader pattern of violations against women, arguing that Houthi checkpoints have become places of intimidation, humiliation, and restrictions on women's freedom of movement. Al-Iryani also criticized the militia's enforcement of unprecedented travel restrictions, saying such measures have been used to detain, interrogate, and pressure women in violation of Yemeni law and international human rights standards. He called on local and international human rights organizations to investigate the allegations, document victims' testimonies, and ensure that those responsible are held accountable.
In international agricultural cooperation, Yemen has secured a leadership role in a key global forum on plant genetic resources. Yemen has been elected vice chair for the Near East region during the 13th session of the Intergovernmental Technical Working Group on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture in Rome. Represented by a delegation from the Ministry of Agriculture, Irrigation and Fisheries, Yemen participated in the opening of the two-day meeting, which brings together member states of the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources alongside experts in biodiversity conservation and sustainable agriculture. Delegates are reviewing the updated second global plan of action for plant genetic resources for food and agriculture aimed at strengthening the conservation and sustainable use of plant genetic resources in response to emerging global challenges.
In Taiz, the new healthcare project is set to expand rehabilitation services for people with physical disabilities. Taiz Governor Nabil Shamsan launched the first phase of a new prosthetics and physical rehabilitation center funded by Kuwait. The project is designed to strengthen rehabilitation services and improve access to specialized healthcare for people requiring prosthetic and physical therapy services. Governor Shamsan praised Kuwait's continued support for Yemen's health sector, saying the project will enhance medical services in Taiz and help reduce the urban on patients seeking rehabilitation.
In diplomatic outreach, Yemen's ambassador to Malaysia, Dr. Adel Bahamid, briefed senior Malaysian officials on recent developments in Yemen, including the escalating Iranian interference. During talks with Malaysian Foreign Ministry Undersecretary for West Asia, Dato Wan Abdul Rashid, Ambassador Bahamid said Iran's recent flight to Houthi-held Sana'a airport represented a violation of Yemen's sovereignty and undermined international efforts to achieve peace. He also highlighted continued arms smuggling, the transfer of military experts to the Houthi terrorist militia, attacks on international shipping, and the use of ports and airports outside government control to support military objectives. The ambassador reaffirmed the Yemeni government's commitment to a just and comprehensive peace based on the agreed reference frameworks and thanked Malaysia for its continued support for Yemen's constitutional legitimacy. For his part, the Malaysian official reaffirmed his country's support for Yemen's unity, sovereignty, and efforts to promote peace and stability.
That's all for the night. Thank you for watching and have a good time.
Have a good time.